Welcome to Pitch in the Zone, a weekly gathering of coaches that help a presenter improve a short pitch. Our coaches this week include Nathan Gold, Michael Marchak, Rick Pollack, and Stuart Pink. And then returning as a visitor is Scott Peak, who has been in the zone a couple of times. And missing from the list of coaches today is Massimo Peroncelli, because Massimo is our presenter today. Massimo, he is a serial entrepreneur full of great ideas, and he has already presented two different concepts that he has been working on in the past. And today he's going to share with us his latest project, GoScanThis. Massimo, it's so great to see you in the hot seat here at Pitch in the Zone. Can you tell us just very briefly, so that we can tune in properly, what is the intended audience for your pitch and what's the setting? Is it online or is it offline, real world, whatever is the setting?
It will be toward angel investors, and it's an online thing, as you will see.
Okay, very good. Well, Massimo, whenever you are ready, take a deep breath. I think you're already set up, right? So
Yes.
The floor is yours whenever you're ready, Massimo.
Hello, my name is Massimo Peroncelli, and I am the CEO and founder of GoScanThis. I have been writing software since I was 12, and I'm sure we have a lot in common. For example, a lot of business cards. But they are bad. They are bad for the environment. They cost time and money. You have to always carry them with you, and they are never enough. So the solution seems to be QR codes. Yes, we are not the first, and we are not the only company trying to use QR code as business cards. But do you remember the iPhone? At the time, the iPhone, it was not the only smartphone. It was not the only touchscreen device, but they put everything together and then something more. So we have the usual, like the picture, the bio, the V card, but we also have videos. You can show your customers what you do. And for example, you can also give them freebies like an ebook. They can download a PDF from your small website. And look at here, when you edit that, you can easily drag and drop them, even with the files. And look at the bottom. You can also drag and drop the icons so that you can make it truly unique to you. And I hope it doesn't happen as often as it happens to me, but I tend to lose business cards and then I have no clue who this guy is. But don't worry, with GoScanThis, you will never lose anything, because even if your battery runs out right after you scan something, then when you log in, you will see everything that you scanned. Not only that, you can simply click and see when you met somebody. More than that, you can click and see where you met them on the map. Pretty cool, huh? So we have a free plan, but our paid plan is $199 per year. $199 per year. We really want to make it a no-brainer. We really want everybody to be a paying customer. We're asking for $10,000 for our company, which is already incorporated in Delaware, and we will spend all of that in advertisement in LinkedIn. We're in private beta. We're going to launch next month, and based on our plans distribution and our estimates, we think we'll get about $80,000 in profits in the first year. But these are really, really conservative estimates, because in 1 year, we can easily reach 100,000 customers, meaning almost $500,000 profits. So just go scan this, and see by yourself how magical that is. Thank you.
All right, really, really well done. Let's give you a little applause here. Well done, Massimo. And I am going to launch the round of feedback with Michael today, because Michael did add a comment into the chat box. And I think it's a really, really important point that you probably want to add into the presentation. Michael.
So a great idea. In my mind, going through this, thinking through the times that I've met folks at a conference floor or whatnot, and we've shared LinkedIn, the QR codes do work. So that's been very, very popular. The one thing I had was, my question for me is, who are you targeting this to for a consumer? Because as you mentioned, you can have videos and other things as part of that. And as I think through the context that I've made personally over the years, not everyone would be fitting into a category who'd want to A, have a video, or B, have other things that they'd share with that because of their role. So the target consumer for this was a little confusing to me, because I wasn't sure exactly who you were pitching this to, besides the angel investors, the customer side. Who's the target customer that you would be selling this to for the solution? I think the pricing makes it very attractive for folks because it is a low cost type of solution. But I didn't understand what the differences were between your models in terms of free versus paid, to understand where the benefits would be for people to make that transition. If there was a transition, free is always good. When you give things away, you get users to your platform very quickly. But there needs to be some kind of differentiation for an angel investor to understand, why would this free solution be different from LinkedIn's free solution? And considering that you're going to LinkedIn to go promote it, how do you see that working from a business standpoint? So I didn't really see the clarity of the target consumer, and how I, as an angel investor, you mentioned profits and whatnot, but I didn't make the connection yet on why someone would want to pay for this, and therefore go on and go take that next level of putting their credit card out.
Okay, well, thank you. Just to quickly answer that, the target customer would be any freelance, basically, because I didn't mention that, but there's totally no advertisement on the site. Even in the free version, there's no advertisement. And of course, in 3 minutes, I can really explain everything, and it will be great for Q&A later. But of course, the more you pay, the more features you get. Like for the whatever first level, you have one video and one file. The more you pay, the more space and videos and files you can update. And things like you have like a vanity QR code with your picture inside, and the other one, it's like, of course, a lot of things, but I can spend easily 20 minutes just to talk about all the features. But as we all know, talking about features is more about engineers other than what you can use them for. So
no, the features are just important, but also the other thing too is, as you're just talking right now, tell me about it. You seemed a lot more excited than you were in the presentation. Your presentation was a little staccato in terms of your delivery, and I didn't really feel the enthusiasm for it. As you were just talking right now, I felt a lot more enthusiasm than you did when you were actually doing your presentation. So maybe as you rewatch it, you can see the same.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah, I think the difference was very, very noticeable. And yes, Massimo, look at the recording between the pitch in itself and talking freely about it. You upped the energy and enthusiasm quite drastically. So let's move on to Stuart. Stuart always has great feedback as well. Stuart, what can you share with Massimo to help him improve the pitch?
Well done, Massimo. I thought it was a very good presentation and a very slick presentation. And because you're experienced at this, I think some of the comments I have today are smaller things rather than big issues. So I loved how you started. I loved the way you switched between demonstrating technology and then carrying on with your presentation. I loved the visual of having the business cards and then throwing them away. One question that led me to is, I understand how QR codes work, and I loved the ways that you could use your QR code, but I wasn't exactly sure, as you're meeting a person, what exactly happens. So I've got my business QR code. Do I have it on a business card? In other words, do I need to pick that card back up off the floor to scan it, or am I keeping it on my phone, or are we wearing it on our chests and you just scan some? I just wasn't exactly sure how that would work, although I certainly get the concept overall, and I think it's great. A couple of just really small things. When you said at the beginning, go scan this, you said go and then slightly hesitated, and scan this ran together, and it was still understandable. But given that these words are so crucial, I think you really want to think about how you're saying them and make sure they come out clearly and powerfully, so there can be no confusion whatsoever. The price that you wrote down, I found slightly confusing. And again, this is where I'm aware that in different cultures, prices can be written differently. For example, I think commas can be used differently in French to British, and periods and things. So I just wasn't exactly sure from my British perspective of exactly what those numbers were. And again, my British American perspective would have the $sign on the left of the numbers. And then again, another small thing, when you were talking about your the estimate you were making for the future, you said we think we'll get. And of course, it's an estimate, but think is probably one of the weakest words that you could use there. So choosing more neutral word, our estimate is, or something like that, that doesn't sound quite as weak. But overall, I was really impressed by the presentation, and I loved the way you got all the moving parts working together. One small thing I've just remembered as well, I don't think we needed the iPhone Steve Jobs example. That sort of served as a, hey, here's a guy who had a great idea and we didn't believe it, but then we did believe it. And we all know that. And I think your idea was interesting enough just to focus solely on that. But thank you very much.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah, you're totally right about the think verb. I just totally forgot what was my line there. So I just came up with think, which I totally agree. It's probably the weakest thing that you can say.
Great observations. And if you're looking for a replacement word there, Massimo, instead of think, plan. We plan to do blah 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 blah. And I also loved your feedback, your comment there, Stuart, about the Steve Jobs example. I also, that was one of my comments as well here that I wrote down. I think it's not needed, right? It's not bad, it's okay, but it's really, really not needed. You can stand on your own without that comparison. Rick, moving on. What kind of feedback do you have for Massimo?
Okay. Massimo, very, very well done. I saw the presentation you gave a few months ago with just the video on either side, and also just the graphics of, the throwing away the business cards. I liked how you started saying that I've been writing software since I'm 12. We have a lot in common. And again, you're within the first 15 seconds, you're establishing some common ground with the audience. But there's one thing that I think you could make a little clearer. And you went through and you said the business cards are obsolete. And it's interesting. One of the last in-person presentations I went to before everything shut down in 2020 was someone talking about LinkedIn, and he held up a business card and he said, "This has an expiration date." Like everyone's kind of puzzled. And he says, yeah, business cards have expiration dates. What you should do is have a QR code on your phone that goes right to your LinkedIn profile. And he showed people that LinkedIn's app has a QR code. you connect with someone on LinkedIn and you don't need a business card anymore, because that business card 3 years from now might have someone else's, someone's changed jobs or company name has changed. But I think where I lost you is really the big differentiation between GoScanThis and scanning a QR code and connecting with someone on LinkedIn. I did see how you said, well, okay, you know when you connected and also where you connected, which has that geo information that LinkedIn doesn't. But the other things about tying in, you can show videos, you can do that. I wasn't clear on where that was coming from. Was that something you already had on a website or a LinkedIn profile? Or is this something that GoScanThis is offering as another platform? So I think you can be a little clearer on that. But I think, the concept is fine, and the idea of scanning the QR code, but making it more clear on what you're offering, how that's different than connecting on LinkedIn. Because I think you're saying, well, I couldn't tell if you were competing with LinkedIn for that, but advertising on LinkedIn for a competitor. So I think that needs to be a bit clearer. But and that thing about the drag and drop and things there, I wasn't quite sure what the platform was on that. And also agree with Stuart just on that 199 with the comma and the 99 and then the $sign. I think if it's, as long as you're consistent though, because I know Massimo, you would have caught if someone had the $sign on one slide earlier and then the next slide was at the end. I think you did that once. But I think it's just, for the format so people understand it. But yeah, it's intriguing, and I love the way you present and just have all the technology going there so people can really see how it is. But maybe just an example of, I think the question is, how does it work when you meet someone? How do they scan that code? Do you show it on the phone? Do they scan something on your badge and then into the example, and just differentiate it from scanning a QR code to connect on LinkedIn? But I like the concept, and I'm interested in seeing an update on the presentation soon. Thanks, Massimo.
Yeah, thank you. Just again, quick answer to that. Was probably my fault because I started seeing so many companies doing this. And so to me, it came natural to know that, to think that everybody would know how it works. So I focus on the things like, on LinkedIn, you cannot upload your files and let people download them, or on LinkedIn, you get advertisement. And in LinkedIn, you don't know when you met people the first time, you don't know where you met them. That's why I made all these other examples that I hoped were enough. But you're right, it was not really clear what is the first step, how you scan it. Because again, it was my fault thinking that everybody knew it already. So thank you for saying that.
And that's why we do these kind of things. And one thing that came to my mind now that you both were talking, first Rick and then you, Massimo, and you just said something like there are so many companies that do this kind of thing. So the compelling differentiator, right? It really, really needs to be something extremely compelling. And I think the timestamp and the geolocation, that's possibly already a differentiator. But what would be way more compelling for me to use something like this would be if you could automatically integrate friend requests into LinkedIn and Facebook. So I scan this thing once, it gets the data into my address book automatically, and it initiates a LinkedIn friend request. And maybe there could be checkboxes, which platforms do they want to connect with. And I think that will give this a little bit more of a uniqueness that would increase my interest in something like this. But again, I'm very special with these kind of things. Anyways, I never used business cards for a very, very specific reason. And I don't use any of these, personal info aggregators or whatever you want to call it. So let's move on to Skadi. Skadi, welcome. You missed the introduction today, but I think you came in just when Massimo was starting the pitch, right? You saw it.
I did. My timing was
Good.
perfect. So yeah. Sorry for being late. My timing was great to hear Massimo. So as usual, you are a good presenter. And I love all the technology, but I could see you reading a little bit more than I think you would like to. So there was a little bit of a missed opportunity to feel like you were talking to me the whole time. Because it felt like you were looking right and looking left. I'm not sure what your setup is. But, and then to Stuart's point, you really need to slow down just a little bit and use a little bit more drama with your words and really grab those important words. So go scan it. It needs to be crisp. And you can take your hand and do this visual of like owning each word, like go scan it. So got to be very clear. And we are in beta testing now. We're registered as a company in Delaware. You know, it just could be a little bit crisper. It went a little bit fast through certain segments of it. And also I was curious about how it would work for me in a setting. So I think people have already covered that. And my only other thought is that, and I mentioned this to Nathan the other day, I still kind of like business cards. I'm a tactile person. So you could say, you know, these are becoming obsolete, but you can still keep your business card and put your QR code on it. I had someone contact me after meeting them 4 or 5 years ago, and I think they dug my card out. So they didn't want it in any other medium. And what I told Nathan is I saw a presentation by a National Geographic photographer who was talking about the fact that if you really want to keep your photographs and maybe some other data forever, you have to put it on a different medium than digital, because you may not always be able to have access to it. You have to have the right computer setup, electricity, you know, all that. So I don't know. I'm not sure you actually need to throw all of your business cards away, but if you want to throw your business cards away, we have the perfect solution for you.
Yeah, thank you. If you check on the site, actually, there's also like automatic layouts of business card made for you with the QR code. So you can actually do both things, having the physical business card with the QR code on it too.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, because that might be worth mentioning. You know, and you also want people to go to the site. So you wanted us to sign up and go to the site, but there could have been a little stronger ask maybe along those lines towards the end. So cool. I'll check it out. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scotty. And while we are with the Scots, let's go to Scott Peak before I'm turning the microphone over to Nathan. Scott, do you have any feedback that we haven't covered yet?
Just a couple of quick things. When I was early on seeing some of the graphics, I was trying to figure out some things on the graphics, and that I lost some of the actual comments that were being made. So it kind of confused me a little bit. It took me a little bit to get back into it again. Great concept though, Massimo. It was good. I really like the concept of the future connecting to LinkedIn and some of the things that this would add on that's a little different. So I was very intrigued.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And Nathan, I know you are pretty close to this product for some reason or another. So I saved you for last here. Are there any comments that you want to make to Massimo that haven't been covered yet?
Sure. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. I feel like the biggest takeaway that I noticed here, Massimo, for you is that everybody was confused on how does this work?
Yep.
It was one of those, why didn't we include, here's how you do it, or show how people like me, or like Michael said, sales and sales engineers might use this in a business setting. So once we do that, I think that would make it more clear to people the value of this. I think we missed out on the benefits of this. You went into the feature, but we forgot to say, and all of this gives people like you the ability to have a living business card or whatever you want to call it in the end. But you know, you are a fantastic communicator, but I would like to actually recommend that we spend the last couple of minutes with all these wonderful coaches online, trying to figure out, why do people slip into this presentation mode instead of being their normal, delightful selves? Anybody have any clues on why people do this? I mean, I even feel like sometimes I even do that, but I remind myself right away, just relax, just be yourself and trip or do something that makes you human.
But if I can
spend a
start,
minute or so
on
well,
Yeah, I feel like we've got that drilled into us to begin with from our school days, where we sit in the classroom on this side, and the teacher is up front talking to us, and so we're always the consumers. Even when we watch television, we're always the consumers. We're very relaxed being a consumer, but when we have to turn around, it's okay, Billy, it's time for you to do your presentation on the history of whatever, and they go in front, and now they have everyone staring at them. And it's drilled into us very early on at school that presenting is something you have to do and be formalized, versus when you're on the kid on the school ground and you're talking to somebody like, hey, come check out my new frog I found in the box, right? And they show everybody they're presenting,
Right.
but for them, they don't see it as presenting because it's not a formalized type of thing. So I think we're all trained that presenting is formal, and you put your formal voice on and you stand up in front, you do that. That's not what it is, right?
Yeah.
So.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think Nathan, it's a great question. I'm not sure whether we can answer this conclusively in just 4 or 5 minutes, but I do want to provide a quick or two comments to Massimo's pitch. That one came out with Scotty a little bit, but I just want to highlight this again, that Massimo, you are, I think, the first presenter now that has used technology in a tremendously cool way. And I think your on-screen presence today is something that is worth modeling, using the right tools and making it quite engaging. And then the second comment that I want to make is the opening. A couple people commented that they liked the opening. I did not. I absolutely think it did not grasp my attention right off the bat in the first 5 to 10 seconds, because it was your introduction, it was your name.
So previously,
my name is, and I have been writing software for, and so on. I would come out right with either, we have a lot of things in common. I know we have a lot of things in common. One of them is blah, 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 and then go into, hi, I'm Massimo, and I'm a serial entrepreneur, and so on. Or move in with the problem somewhere and a veiled uncovering of the solution, where you say, something along the line of, maybe hold up the business card stack and say, do you have one of these? Do you know where you met these people, when you met these people? With my solution, you will, right? Something just that pulls us in way, way faster than your name and your background. But other than that, again, I think great pitch. A little bit more focus on how exactly does it work rather than what it is, and you're there. So I invite you to come back with the second version, because I think you have quite a list right now that you can use to improve it. And by the way, we do not have any presenters lined up after this week. So if you wanna hop onto the calendar for next week already, please do. And if you are watching this on YouTube and you would like to give it a try with a short pitch, right down here, over here, is the link that you can use to hop on our calendar, and we will be delighted to help you improve your short pitch. And with that, thank you to all of the coaches for your valuable feedback. Thank you, Massimo, for coming into the zone on that side of the screen today. Truly a great pitch, and I look forward to the next version. And until then, I wish you all a wonderful time. See you next week. Bye.